Stephanie Diaz de Leon.
This is Abby Maxey.
This is Beth Stacy.
This is Omar Wahid.
This is Miles Felix.
And this is Rob Chappell.
And it's 365 Amplified. And I will say, with today's new table configuration, this is why we need Rob to point at us to know when to start and say our names.
It wasn't intuitive?
No! I was confused. I thought maybe you would start and then go around the other way, but then...
We're in a different conference room.
Yes.
So
we do need that support because Omar and I don't know when to go.
I'm going off vibes.
Yeah. Now let's go ahead and move into our first story we want to talk about this morning.
Yeah, Miles has gone down the insect rabbit hole.
Yeah, so I know
Is that insect hole? Is that just? Should we just cut out the
I
rabbit?
mean it's a it's a broad thing. I mean, I know I started with talking a lot of sports and other things this summer, but yeah. I wanted to dive a little bit into, what we've been seeing in Madison over the past couple of weeks this summer. If you've been in any outdoor spaces, especially closer to the evening time, especially when you're around the water, I'm sure you've seen swarms and swarms of what we call midges or lake flies. And at first, as to all of us, this is pretty alarming because nobody wants to see a large cloud of bugs or insects around an area where they're hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
But to clarify, I talked to Professor Dan Young, who's a professor of entomology at the University of Wisconsin, and he helped me clarify that these bugs are actually harmless and they're actually a positive contributor to our environment. Mostly because, one, when they are larvae, they actually come from they're all basically in the mud or in the bottoms of lakes and ponds, so fish can feed on them. But then once their larvae have hatched and they end up flying in the air, they end up being a source of food for other insects, birds, and especially spiders. So although they might be a nuisance to us, they don't bite. They may swarm around light sources and they may swarm in areas. However, they don't do much to humans, and they actually are a positive contributor, and they usually only have a lifespan of about a week. So although they might hatch in different times, which is why you see, different time periods where there are a lot of them, they can be annoying, they can be irritating, and they are bugs, so they are disgusting. However, I think they are a positive contributor, and Professor Young helped me clear that up.
Yeah, and they were here first, y'all. Like,
and if they're bothering you, you can just take comfort knowing they will die soon.
In about a week.
Yeah.
See you Thursday.
Yeah.
But is it true that they're actually not more prevalent this year, even though it feels like maybe they are?
Yeah, so what Professor Young tried to explain to me is that there are just different cycles that the bugs pop up in. There's not necessarily a correlation to heat, nor is there a correlation, as we know right now, with climate change. The limnology department has been researching this, and they've been researching midges actually for the past 50 to over 100 years because of their connection to connection to Lake Mendota, and also because of trying to disprove whether they have a correlation with their population and climate change. But however, there hasn't been a clear answer yet. But he does point out a population that might be affected are actually mosquitoes, because if there are warmer water temperatures, mosquitoes can breed at higher rates, and especially because they usually are, their larvae are closer to the surface, which is most predominantly affected by the sun heating up a body of water. When, things like midges and other quote-unquote lake flies, which he also clarified, gnats, the terms lake flies can basically apply to over 5 to 10 other bugs. So it's a pretty broad term, but what we're seeing most of the time when we're seeing these swarms of insects are midges, and they're usually can be mistaken for mosquitoes, but they're actually just about the same size, but they're grayish and they're green colored. Yeah, and they don't bite again.
Yeah, they don't bite. I've seen them. They're fine.
They're fine.
They're just annoying. Like
They're just
annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, they swarm.
Yeah. Yeah, they come in bunches. They come with their own posse of friends.
Yeah.
They're like, look.
All right. Thank you for that, Miles. Senior insect correspondent, Miles Felix.
Well, that's his new title. We should start adding that to his byline.
Yeah.
Just because your parents will be so proud.
Anyway, oh, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Miles. You gotta go. Omar, we have a development on the nurses union unionizing. We reported last week that they did vote to unionize the nurses at Meriter Hospital, right?
It was like a whole month ago.
Was that a month already?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Time is
June
meaningless.
11th.
Rob has no sense of time right now.
Well, that's
Days are
right.
made
Yeah,
up.
June 11th was the vote, but now SSM, the parent company, is pushing back.
They are trying to throw out the election results. Why?
Why?
Because they're sore losers. It's a theory.
Uh-huh.
They are fighting for charge nurses not to be considered eligible voters because they are a supervisory position, but they're not in management because they don't have the ability to hire or fire.
Yeah.
Just supervisory.
So were charge nurses included or not included in the vote?
Non-core charge nurses with like higher reputation and longer standing,
Mm-hmm.
so they have some more weight than other charge nurses. Because renownedly, a lot of the charge nurses are relatively new in their careers because of the staffing shortage.
Oh, right. So it
But
doesn't take
those
long.
ones-
It doesn't take long to move up because there's
Because it's
turnover.
such a
Yeah.
such a
Well, because
high
the charge nurse is usually like a decade plus
yeah.
position in nursing. It's not 1 year out of
Right.
nursing school,
So-
but that's what's been happening there.
Mhm.
But they can't really challenge it. SSM Health didn't file their statement of position on time, which allowed them to challenge who was considered an eligible voter in the union election. And because they didn't do that, and they kind of
Waited to the last minute.
Or wait
And
until
then
Passed it up,
some.
and then waited a little bit longer after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they asked the NLRB to please reconsider despite it being late and having months and months to do it.
Yep. They had plenty of time.
And now they are huffing their chest about it. So, well, we'll see what happens there. I don't know. I've never seen this happen. So.
Yeah, so they're basically saying that people who shouldn't have been voting to unionize voted, and therefore,
But they were aware of this the time the vote was happening.
Yes.
So if they wanted to make a claim that they have to redo the vote and remove those folks from the being eligible to vote or not count their votes,
right,
they could have brought it up in time.
right.
They could have, but also charge nurse is such a very small sliver,
Yes.
and
It wouldn't have
think,
changed
like,
the result anyway.
But what they're trying
over
to do is
500.
delay, like understand what they're trying to do, right? They are trying to delay and disavow and give themselves more time to have it go in the direction that they want it to go. They
yeah,
lost,
they're union
right? Like
busting.
they lost. They didn't like it. They're trying to delay even the ability for them to now actually move toward that union, which is disappointing, but also not surprising in the way that they've sort of negotiated and navigated this whole process. I guess I'm not surprised that they're now huffing and puffing and want to blow all the houses down. But you would think they would try to create a better place and space for those nurses to work in, and work toward, stopping the turnover that they're experiencing right now, because in such a way that like now they have to hire charge nurses right out of nursing school and not have anybody who stays for 10 years to and move into that role.
They would rather have no hospital than
Yes.
a union.
They would
Crazy.
doing right and being right are two very different things, and they're just still trying to be right.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll continue to cover that at Madison365.org. Thank you, Omar. Beth, you found a pretty sort of a longer, in-depth feature this week. Tell us about that.
So I got the privilege of interviewing Signe and Bainai, who is a mother of 2 children, and they are both autistic, and they are also Black. And I kind of talked to her about the cross-sectionality
Mhm.
of those like 2 variables in Madison, and specifically in schools. She talked a lot about needing to advocate just to get her children into spaces that they should be allowed
Automatically.
in,
Yeah.
and also get the services that they should be given and they're
Mhm.
entitled to. Her daughter had a much harder time getting a diagnosis than her son. Her son is nonverbal. Her son is like what we would call like classical
Mhm.
autistic.
Mhm.
You know, he like it doesn't communicate very well, and he's like more developmentally delayed, whereas her daughter is very smart. She's in all advanced classes. And what happens a lot with girls is they don't get diagnosed as early.
Yep.
They usually don't receive a diagnosis until what's called a late diagnosis after 13, despite having the same symptoms. And oftentimes that's because girls are better at masking, or boys' behaviors are just often more targeted in schools. And so her daughter didn't get she was assessed 3 times by the school district before she was given an IEP and like the services that she deserves. And if Mbina wasn't there to advocate for her daughter, who knows like what kind of spaces she would be in and what kind of spaces she would be excluded from.
Yeah.
And then her son, she talks about how he's a Black kid in a very white school, and how not only is he autistic and has these like more challenging behaviors, they're getting scrutinized more than his white peers. And like one day he was like he was lying on the ground, not wanting to get up, which is like a very normal thing for an autistic kid to do. A lot of times they don't want to like move, or like transitions can be super difficult for them. And the school called her. And she wasn't really upset that he was lying on the ground or that his teacher wasn't able to handle it, because those are hard jobs. She was just upset that they called her and they made it a thing. And what she said to me, she was like, I know there's a file of all of his behaviors that's just othering him like again and again and again. And she was talking about how this just like discludes him from services that he should be allowed to. And like her daughter was denied entry to a dual immersion program under the basis of her disability, which I'm pretty sure is illegal. But is also unfounded, as her daughter's like advanced placement in all her subjects. She's like, you just don't want to deal with my kid. You don't want to deal with, and she just talked a lot about how, she had a really good quote about talking about like, you're not gonna ever get to live in a world with only neurotypical people. You're gonna, and as a teacher, like you're gonna need to be able to accommodate them, and you're gonna need to be able to teach them. And if you're not, like, you're not doing your job. And yeah, I love talking to her. I've interviewed her a couple of times now, and she really cares about her kids, and not just her kids, but like the kids in the community too, who she's like paving the way for.
And are impacted by the presumption that working with kids with diagnosis are going to be harder before even giving them a chance to really understand like how to work with them or get the education to how to support kids who do have diagnosis. And also, like, besides the teacher, the school and the system itself needs to train these teachers and prepare these and in school themselves, when these teachers are in school, to prepare them for, like you said, kids with diagnosis, because you're not going to live in a place or space where where you're only going to work with neurotypical kids in any grade level, and at any place or space that you are in as well in terms of employment.
And it's like, they're not, if you have an autism diagnosis, it doesn't necessarily mean you get an IEP. An IEP means you're going to go into another classroom and you have a different teacher. You might get just accommodation.
You might get support services.
And those will happen in the like regular classroom. And that, like, a teacher who's not special ed is going to have to know how to deal with that. Like, and just, it's a really hard system to navigate. And I think a lot of kids like slip through the cracks because not everyone's parent has the capacity and the words. And she was talking about how, as a Black person, she has to know the words to advocate. She has to teach herself all these things to be able to advocate for her children. Whereas like a white family they do much more easily get these services because they're more listened to.
They're believed more. And they're considered more in a different way. Their weight of their words mean different than hers as a Black woman with Black children. And even these Black children are not being heard or believed or presumed to be able to, fit in to whatever spaces that they, that these teachers feel like, or these educational assistants feel like they should be able to fit into, which is disappointing and not surprising, but incredibly harmful to generations of children.
She even talked about how when she went to the doctors, they didn't believe her. And that's like just a perpetual cycle for Black
Mhm.
women going to the doctor. They're
Oh,
just not
absolutely.
believed. And then it's like her daughter's not believed. And
Mhm.
what do you do? She's like, if I didn't know what to say, my daughter would have never gotten the diagnosis from
Yeah.
the like
Mm-hmm.
neuropsychologist.
Yeah.
Whoa, sorry.
No worries. And there's not enough doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists, et cetera, who are Black,
Mhm.
right, in these systems
Mhm.
that we have to navigate that may hear us differently in a different, or understand us differently or understand us culturally in the way that helps folks who are Black and brown feel affirmed in their concerns about their children and spaces and themselves as well.
Yeah. And has the mom taken on more advocacy
Yeah,
outside of her own family?
she has. She advocated. I didn't write about this in this story because
Mm.
it's just
It's
it
so
was a
long
while
already.
ago. But she got school fences to be a thing in new schools being put in the Madison area because her son eloped like I think it was 29 times in his first year,
Mm.
and once a stranger brought him back
Oh
to
my
the school,
goodness.
and that's terrifying. And she was like, I prepared the teachers.
Mhm.
She had all of his behaviors written out from like before he went into school and all these things. And she did so much work. And she was like, it's just so frustrating that it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. And they're still like, these kids still aren't getting the services
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they deserve.
Just
Absolutely.
mention what elope means for those.
Oh,
that don't
sorry.
know.
Eloping means that you're like getting off of, like you're running away.
Yeah.
It's a thing autistic kids
Yes,
do.
it's I think 50% of autistic kids in school will
Mhm.
elope at least once.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very typical behavior.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not quite sure on the 50%, but it's like pretty up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a common thing that
Yes.
kids with autism
Yeah,
do
and so as
that you
it's-
have to be able to watch out for
Yeah.
and be aware of.
yeah, as a special ed teacher, like you should be like that is
And also when the
one of the
mother
most-
tells you,
yeah.
this
Yeah.
is what my
Yes,
child
exactly. Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Here is all the data information and what
Mhm.
works that I've experienced for you
Yeah.
all, and still not to be prepared for that every time
Yeah.
is a harm,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And just getting away from them is different than
Mhm.
he was found by a stranger, like by some like far away.
He was gone.
He was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was little, like too little to.
And
Yeah.
by the
Yeah.
grace of everything in this world, luckily this person was decent.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
To bring, a very decent human being to at least bring this child back to their school and, find them, bring them back, and no other harm was done to them. But
Mhm.
like, that's, so the thousand of like things that could have happened.
Yeah.
Every single time to let this mother go through that process every time she hears like, oh, he eloped again, like he ran again, like we lost him again. Like that's frightening.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
you continue to be like, I have no choice but to trust this school system because there's no other access or opportunity for him to go anywhere else. Like, has to be difficult and a struggle.
Yeah. But she puts her and her husband put a lot of work into making sure
Mhm.
that other people don't have to go through the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
And that she can, fight where she can.
Mhm.
And she talked about how sometimes she just doesn't fight if it's a space her daughter's not going to be accepted into.
Yeah.
Why is she going to shove her in there?
Yeah.
Like it's a balance, like caring for her own children and then also advocating for the
Yeah.
children of the future.
Absolutely.
Important story. Thank you, Beth. Appreciate that. Abby, you have a follow up on something we've been following, which is to say Barrio Dance,
Mhm.
based here in Madison, as we reported a couple of months ago, went on America's Got Talent. And we found out last night. What did we find out last night?
They got 3 yeses.
Yay!
Who didn't vote yes?
Howie Mandel.
Howie, we're coming
So
for
was
you.
the bald people.
It's the bald people.
Rob's right there.
But that means essentially they're moving on in the competition. Yes. What you went to the watch party? So just tell us about that.
Yes, I went to the watch party. It was so much fun. I got to stop by Art House 360. It's a beautiful building.
It is. Yep.
You ever are in the area, or if you're interested in taking art classes, definitely stop by. It's awesome in there.
Mhm.
But yeah, some of the community members came out, friends, family, people who work there, and went. They were just watching the show. We didn't know if they were coming on at the start or at the end or when they would be performing, but they were at the very, very beginning. And so definitely very exciting. And some people got emotional, it was a really nice time. And there was little kids laying down on the floor in the front watching, and it was just a really cute time.
It's awesome. And the company, the dancers actually are back in California, right?
They're back in
For something
California.
else?
So yeah, they're actually competing with World of Dance. And that's also how they got discovered by America's Got Talent producers, is through their World of Dance performances. But they're still competing there right now. And so they got to FaceTime call in at the end for a few minutes, and everyone was very
That's
happy
cool.
to talk with them and
Awesome.
congratulate them.
That's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
So watch America's Got Talent. I don't know. Plug America's Got Talent, but watch America's Got Talent in the coming weeks. Specifically, watch for Barrio Dance.
There you go.
Who are fantastic. That's right, because it was the World of Dance, I think in Chicago or something, and they put some on YouTube, and then America's Got Talent producers saw those and called them last year.
It was actually the same performance that they ended up doing on the actual show, just cut down a lot, which made it a bit of a different experience for sure. But I'm really interested to see if they move forward, and if they do, I would love to see what they do next.
3 S's and no golden buzzer means it's not 100% certain that they'll continue to be on the show. And and last I heard, they were still like, the producers were calling and being like, "What would you perform in your next one?" So they're trying to be optimistic, I guess, that they're not going to be cut in the interim. But anyway, thank you for that. That's very exciting. And then one other thing we got coming up, Indigenous Cultural
Celebration.
Cultural Celebration.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, this Saturday, July 11th, Schumacher Farm Park is hosting their second annual Indigenous Cultural Celebration. If you're not familiar with Schumacher Farm Park, they're a nature conservancy as well as a historical museum. And so a big part of the reason why they created this celebration last year was because they wanted to acknowledge the original stewards of the land and provide like a true historical representation of that. And so, yeah, the Wisconsin Dell Singers will be performing, as well as Native artisans from the Little Eagle Arts Foundation will be there. There's going to be a marketplace where they'll be selling their stuff, as well as activities that people can engage in. And so, if you came last year, it's going to be very similar to that, but it's going to be a bit more expansive. I think they're going to have a larger tent, so performers will have more space to do their stuff. And yeah, it'll be a great time, great educational experience for people to come out.
And that's Saturday at Schumacher Farm Park. Thank you for that, Abby. After we take a little break, we're gonna hear from Anthony Cooper, who is the founder and CEO of Focused Interruption. They're celebrating their 10th anniversary, which is amazing that they've been going 10 years. Folks might remember a big spike in gun violence in 2016, 17. And that's what sparked Anthony to start that as a violence prevention program. And it's been going 10 years. So I talked with him. And they're having a Gala fundraiser coming up. So stay tuned and get all the information on that. One last thing I want to mention before we go to the break, though, is the Democratic, the field of Democratic candidates for governor is smaller today because Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley bowed out and endorsed Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez.
I'm not going to take credit, but
I was gonna mention, like, after we called him out, after Omar called him out for not showing up at the Muslim Civic, what was the name of the organization?
Muslim Civic
Society,
Wisconsin Muslim Civic Alliance.
Got it.
Yes.
At their candidate forum last week that you covered. Was it last week or the week before? It was recently. And he didn't show up. Neither did Sarah Rodriguez, interestingly, because remind us why.
They didn't want to acknowledge or say yes or no if they agree with the consensus of experts that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide.
Right. And so they just decided not to show up.
Yes.
And so David Crowley did show up, and so did Sarah Rodriguez at the Blacks for Political and Social Action of Dane County forum that happened here at the Hub just a couple of days ago this week, which I was at. That was Tuesday night, and then Wednesday afternoon, Crowley dropped out. He even had like a after party at Taylor Nicole here at the Hub, and then I guess maybe just to spend the rest of the campaign money. I don't know before dropping out. No surprise.
Here's the thing: I would not be surprised if he runs pretty soon for either Gwen Moore or Lena Taylor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's spending that campaign money yet. I think he is going to use it for something.
Oh, yeah.
Soon.
Yeah. He's in a good spot and as Walker County executive.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the first question, and when they opened up for opening statements, they said, please mention in your opening statement whether you have Black staff.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned, he didn't say campaigns, but he said like half my cabinet in Milwaukee County is Black, half are women also.
Yeah.
Mandela Barnes and Sarah Rodriguez just ignored that question. Interestingly.
What do you mean ignored it?
Well, just did their boilerplate opening statement and didn't say.
So they didn't take the question seriously, which says something to those folks who are hosting that, you know, and anybody who's watching it. So that's a choice.
Yeah. Francesca Hong mentioned not only she has her social media operation is run by 2 Black women on the campaign side, but her chief of staff in her legislative office is Neda Al-Mekshafli, who's the first Black Muslim woman to work in the state capitol at all, ever. And
she does incredible work. She has for years.
That is great. Yeah. And and then who's last one? Kelda Royce said, well, my chief of staff is Latina. So
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
So, but she answered the question. She answered the question. The answer is no.
By saying, but I got another one. I got the other one. I got the other group.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
You could just say, no, I do not. Like that's be honest, be forward. The question was, do you have anybody of color?
No, it was specifically Black.
So she literally said, no, but I got the other ones.
Yeah, kind of.
Was this about campaign staff specifically, or?
I think they didn't say, but I think they meant campaign staff.
I mean, because everyone else has staff besides Mandela Barnes. He's technically just some guy right now.
Right. He doesn't have an office.
No, but
he's not holding an office right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, but the others have it's general.
Yes,
so.
Yes, have current staff in their offices, which apparently. I mean,
Crowley endorses Sarah Rodriguez today.
Yeah,
I was like, didn't he say he wasn't going to endorse?
That's what I read.
Yes, he was going to endorse whatever candidate comes out of the.
Well, he said he has always said, and they all said, by the way, asked that they would 100% support the nominee, but when he. When he announced that he was dropping out, he did not make an endorsement. I don't know that he said he wasn't going to, though. Maybe he did.
Sure he
did
said he wasn't going to endorse anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought he said too. So,
but then he endorsed Sarah Rodriguez.
In the WPR?
Maybe it was just in the W. That's the one I read too. But then endorse it the next day. Somebody wants a cabinet position.
Or something.
Yeah.
And she's got to win, and I don't think she will.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I trust nothing or no one until I see some numbers.
Yeah. Well, the most recent numbers that I've seen, I think, are like Mandela Barnes is at about 12%, and Francis Kong's about 11%, and everybody else is in single digits, and undecided is over 50%.
Yeah.
Or close to 50% anyway.
This is why she is more likely to win.
Wes Rodriguez?
Yeah.
An awful lot of the undecideds would have to fall to her, and I don't see it happening.
I can see it happening when it comes down to it. Just because, again, she is white. Right? Most of your undecideds are going to play this game, whether they mean to or not.
Electability.
Sarah Rodriguez is white?
They're going to be like, what? But that's part
interestingly,
of it.
though, the last question, sort of the bonus lightning question was, can a Black person win statewide? And
if you vote.
And, well, the answers were good. They all said, of course, yes, right? But Mandela Barnes' answer was, if you spend as much time asking me if I can win as you did helping me win, then I can win.
If you vote. And that's the problem with that 50% undecided gets stuck on this sense of electability.
Yeah.
And can I vote for a person of color? Can I vote for a Black person? Whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And then they default. This is what I say, and Sarah Rodriguez is white. So that in their heads, a white person could be another white person. That's it for them.
Right.
They can't think beyond that because they haven't experienced it, because you haven't voted that way. Just vote that way. Just vote for who you think is the best candidate.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, that's what Francesca Hong said. Like, whoever gets the most votes is electable.
Yeah, obviously, because they got the most votes. And if you all come back, for the actual election to vote for that person who won the primary, I can win.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to come out and vote.
Yeah, this whole women or black people or
It's just a
whoever
deflection.
can't get elected it's a deflection, but it's also a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, absolutely.
It's circular.
Well, but they like the circular argument because then it justifies the reason for voting for whiteness.
Yeah.
Because of, our unconscious bias that shows up in those spaces when it comes to power. It's interesting, right? Like we might vote like for a school board member who might be black and brown or woman, et cetera. But when we think about larger, powerful roles, our default, because that is what has been ingrained in us in so many different ways and so many different layers of our experience, tells us that we should vote white because that is the safest one. Whatever the white person is most aligned with us, as close as they can be to us, that's who we vote for. Because it matters to us that power remains in what we know and what we've experienced and what we believe to be like the most, I don't even know, I don't want to say the most, are the only lane for us to retain power in the way that we want to see it. But absolutely in what we see as resemblance of what power looks like to us or we've experienced, which is always whiteness. And I'm hoping that there's a better generation coming after us that pushes against that narrative, because it is a narrative. It is not truth-telling. It is a narrative.
Right.
I made Rob
I mean, I don't have anything to add to that. You said it right. All right, we'll take a break and we'll come back. Anthony Cooper. All right, we're back, and we're over here on the east side at the new office of Focus Interruption. We're talking with the founder and CEO, Anthony Cooper. How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. Always good to see you.
All right. Yeah, you too, man. Now we started talking about this a couple months ago when you mentioned that the reason we're talking is it's the 10-year anniversary of Focus Interruption coming up in August.
Yes.
And I didn't even know you were getting a new digs, that you literally just moved in yesterday. So there's like furniture all over the place and a bunch of empty rooms, which is great. But it's exciting though, man. What prompted the move out here?
The rent was cheaper, right? I mean, I'm always very honest and very transparent.
Yeah.
It was cheaper, but then also I think that but it still kind of gave us the same vibe that what I wanted as far as, so we're close enough to the community, want to be closer, Madison, some of the bus stops and things of that nature.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Some very funky places. And so allow people to be able to be in a space that they can get here on their own as well. Because even, that was one of the other reasons to being able to have set up a small community room for individuals to work on their resumes. We can sit down if we're applying for applications, jobs, housing, so on and so forth. And we can do that all in one space, where our other office was, it was just kind of like we had areas there, and then also had a whole another different space to do other additional things.
Yeah, they got it all in one spot here.
Yeah, now we have everything all in one spot.
Oh, you're on International Lane, 2801? International Lane?
2801 International Lane, Suite 200. So, second floor, we have an elevator if there are some other additional challenges.
Yeah.
So you don't have to walk up the stairs.
Yeah.
But so definitely is a blessing.
Yeah. Now, it's 10 years now. Talk to us about the origins, about in 2016, what was going on that you felt like you needed to start something new?
So 2016, there were a rash of shootings that were happening with individuals throughout our community. These are people that were, for the most part, either I worked with, they knew me from back in the days through my own knuckleheadness, as I like to call it, the fact that, I knew them before I went to prison, when I came back home, when I was telling people I was going to do something different with my life, right? And so many people who know me know I always think you could tell anyone, hey, I want to do something different in my life, but let me show you. And they also show you, it was as the young folks say, they say, let me show you how I work. You're right. And I continue to kind of navigate. And so I had people that would were either coming home from prison or were still in prison, federal as well as state. These are people who either I grew up with or I knew them from my knucklehead days and so forth. So it was like, man, how do you do this, right? And so I shared. I'm an open book, so I've always shared my journey, the good and the bad, but I'm unfortunate some of those guys that when they came home, some of them, made good choices, some of them didn't, but some of them were involved in some of the shootings that were happening in our community. And really kind of hitting it head on. And then also being a person that where, and I use this word very loosely, trusted, right? A person would talk to me about things. And so, because when violence happens in any community, it's not just the victim or the perpetrator, but right, it's just the whole thing. The whole community is being affected.
Yeah.
Also of being able to navigate. Their families are being affected. How are we navigating these spaces and being real and having these real conversations with them, right? And so that was, kind of, not only myself and, unfortunately, the late Michael Johnson, as you know, great not only brother of mine, but someone that we navigated quite a few different spaces over the years together. But yeah, so it's kind of, one of those things where like, hey, let's talk about what could be done different. Let's also show people things can be done different, and also showing up for people and as they're navigating through their own trauma. And so I continue to do that with others and continue, 10 years later, continue to show up. Many people know that even if I didn't have a team to show up with me, even if I had to show up by myself, I would do so.
Yeah.
So, that continued to the way how we work to this present day.
I remember because we had only been in Madison 365 had only been in business for like a year.
Yeah.
When there's this rash of gun violence in Madison, and I remember, like you said, it's not just the perpetrator and the victim who is either injured or dead, but there was just this anxiety and fear in the whole community about what's going on, and it's hard to even know what to be scared of because it's like just pervasive. It's not like some outside organization coming in and doing best. It's just like our kids, our people.
Yep.
And it was just really a scary time for that like year or so. So, and what I appreciated when you first started was that this word interruption. Like, things are like, it's like a cycle of recidivism, of getting out of prison, going back to prison and being kind of like wrapped up in this in the criminal justice system. But also just cycles of violence, cycles of beef or whatever. And you just gotta like poke a stick in the spoke of the wheel and interrupt that cycle, right?
Exactly.
Is that kind of how you're thinking about it?
Yeah, I mean, that was exactly how we thought about it. We knew that so I think one of the misconceptions is the fact that when you're coming home, you're saying, all right, this person did something to me, I need to go after that person.
Yeah.
Right. But there's, and not to say that those things don't happen, because they do. Right. But at the same time, there are people who are stuck in this poverty in the other cycle of like, hey, there's nothing else I can do. So either if I'm doing all I can to be able to get a job, but yet I can't get a job. So it's like, all right, so I go back to what I know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that becomes some challenges too, right? So what happens? So someone gets robbed, someone gets stuck up, or someone gets killed because of a deal went wrong, whatever the case, however how we want to say it right now. Those are the things that where we want to also, no one comes, that's not their thought. Their thought is like, okay, well, yeah, I'll try getting a job. And and there are some folks that will, and I'll say it, and people know. Again, I'm always transparent. There's some folks that may say, "Hey, when I come home, I'm gonna get back on exactly what I was on before." Right? Hey, that is what it is, right? But at the same time, there are more people who want to do something different for their lives and for their family than I think is credited.
Yeah.
Right. And so, no one wants to be on the other end of someone's gun, right? Where they're begging for their lives. Those are the real things that are happening. No one is talking about the fact that so once that person gets shot or whatever, my life could have been gone. Right. That's not the reoccurring conversation. The reoccurring conversation is say, oh, it's those guys over there.
Right.
It's those guys. No, those guys, they tried something different, but yet were unable to get there. Right. And so they went back to what they know, because it's not only because they're familiar, because they also saw a level of success from that. Right. You know, and so how do we change that? We interrupt that thinking to say, hey, look, you can do X, right? You can do something different with your life. You can go ahead and grow into being a better person. You can actually work a job to actually do something better for you and your family, right? You can own a home. You know what I mean? You have to. Let's talk about what we can do instead of what we can't do, right? And so being able to interrupt those thoughts to say, all right, but also knowing that you have support. You don't have to do this by yourself.
You said a really interesting word there, success. That if somebody, if getting through to tomorrow is success, that's a totally different thought process than buying a home in 5 years from now. Being a success, right? It's just a really different way of thinking.
Because I mean, many people you have, and I think one of the other things is, as much as we say our kids need to see it, right? Our kids need to see a Black teacher. Our kids need to see a level of success, or I can be a lawyer or whatever. But the other thing that what often happens that we're not talking about is the fact our parents of those kids need to see the exact same thing. You know what I mean? They need to see that they also have support. They need to see and know that they have these other types of connections with people. Like, I mean, Rob, I tell anyone, you can call me anytime, right? But also that I make sure that I can be available, but it's not just me being available. I have a team of individuals who are also available, right? So who are also willing to show up, who are also willing to navigate different spaces with you. And if it's something that they don't know, or heck, if I don't know, because I never go into any situation of saying like I know everything, because I don't. But what I do know, that I will be the person that will reach out, if not only for my behalf, but also for others. So now we're changing. We're interrupting the thought of I have to do all of this by myself. Right?
Yep.
So the more and more that we're able to figure out things together. So what's better than one brain? We have two. There's the one, right? You know what I mean? That's going the same direction. And so, and now we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20, 22, and now
all working on the same problem.
All working on the same problem and coming out with true solutions.
Right. And the other thing is that there's sort of an immediate conflict resolution, like helping people resolve conflicts without violence.
Exactly.
But then also much bigger root causes, right?
Exactly.
You talk about resume building as in violence prevention, like that isn't necessarily an intuitive connection, but obviously it's important, right?
Right. It's important because think about it. If I've been in this shaken situation all my life, right? And I've never, I may want to ask for help, but don't ask for help for whatever reason. Right. Or whatever.
Or you don't even know who to ask.
Yeah. I don't know who to ask. And I don't think someone is just going to help me just for the sake of helping me.
Right.
Right. Just for the sake of helping me, not because of what I can do for you, you can do for me, or blah, blah, blah. It's just for the sake of helping. That changes everything. Right? Because you want to, because at the end of the day, our organization is the fact that we want to see people do better. Our organization may have started from being able to attack violent crimes that happen in our community with the individuals who we know and love, and we want to see those folks do better. But then also, that's why when people ask me, it's like, oh yeah, I know, I heard about you guys that came to the hospital when my family was shot or whatever. Man, thank you so much for being there, so on and so forth. Or, my child was in a situation in a community and, I heard about you guys being there or whatever. But it's also so important it's more than just showing up at the hospital. It's more than just showing up at the hospital after a shooting had happened. What are we doing the time when we can have previous early conversations to prevent those things from happening, right? People are people. We know we can't. I mean, I wish that we had the magic wand to say, okay, hey, you know, there's a shooting about to happen on, you know, on Norfolk or whatever, and we can be there before it happens. Say, hey, no, good fella, don't do this, right? You know what I mean? But that's not the reality, right? But the reality is being able to give someone an outlet to be able to give people an outlet and also give people an option to be able to do something different.
Well, in the past 10 years, how is this? Well, first, talk about. You got any like specific wins? Any that you're really proud of in the last 10 years?
Oh man, I've quite a few, to be honest with you. I mean, organizational wise, also I think, I mean, if I talk about from just an organizational point of it, that we started, I mean, when we first came about of talking about, hey, this is something that we want to do as an organization, so on and so forth, you know, I mean, like everything, right? It's kind of like, hey, everyone's there, then people disappear. That happens, right? You know what I mean? So it's no fault to those people. Some people just didn't see it happening, and who knows what their needs could have been, or you know, during that time, right? Because this was a thing that we did voluntarily, right? We volunteered. This was something I was like, hey, look, I, we don't have a budget. We don't have any of that. You know, I mean, eventually, you know, with the Mayor Soglin, you know, was like, hey, if we can do this, can we, you know, we can give you all something. You know, it's not a lot, but if we can do something to, you know, to be able to offset some stuff, that's great. But at the same time, that wasn't really enough, and we knew that. You know, because this is not it's not a 9 to 5 gig.
Right.
24/7.
Yeah.
Right? 7 days a week.
Right.
You know?
So just existing as an organization is kind of a win.
Right. That alone is a win.
Yeah.
Right?
How long did that take when you went from volunteering to becoming like a full-fledged nonprofit?
So full-fledged nonprofit has happened within the last 4 years.
Okay.
4 years. So we went through a couple of different things where, as many people know throughout our community, excuse me, I was the vice president of reentry services and strategic partnerships for Nehemiah.
Right.
And so, you know, also gave me a different lane to be able to work in as well. So I was like, all right, so I know partnerships. I know, it's like, all right, in order for us to do this, we have to have the nonprofit lens also, you know. And so Nehemiah was our fiscal agent for quite some time, right? You know, so until we were able to make that leap, right, on our own. You know, even now, you know, I'm still have wonderful relationships. They understood my mission, my own personal journey, and also my mission. I'm still on the board for that organization to this day. You know, and still, you know, they're an agency that I will always love. You know.
And have you seen in those 10 years? Have you seen either as specific people you've helped that have been successful in different ways, or any sort of quantitative, any sort of metrics?
Yes, I've seen. So thank you for getting back there. So from people who have thanked us for being a part of the journey, had, you know, I've some men and women of just being able to not only show up, because one of the other things is we've helped out with relocation and things of that nature, to see the fact that so it's not like we say, hey, you know what, we're going to support you if you're just here in Madison, Wisconsin, right? We're going to find different ways of being able to support. There's people that want to start over. They want to do over in life, whatever that may mean for them. And being able to not only assist in those things and see those people do well. One of the blessings that I think I've, and this has happened not that long ago, when I had a person that had called me. Don't, you know, everything that we do is confidential, right?
Sure.
But so for quite a few different reasons, right?
Of course,
You know, call It was like, hey, man, I just want to let you know so it wasn't me checking in. They were just calling because it kind of disappeared for a second. And really was just saying, you guys, hopefully you know how much it meant, not only the fact that you helped me out, but also my family out, and what we're doing now, and this is what we're doing. Right? He has had a job for 2 years. He's never had a job before.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Has some stability with him and his family, his child's mother. Right? Able to pay child support. Right? Able to have his own apartment. Right? And being able to navigate life differently. He was like, man, honestly, I know 9 to out of 10, I would have got back. I was basically been on the same thing I was on before.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that, and one of the things that because we're an agency, we're not a cookie cutter agency, but what I do tell people, especially when they've been hurt by firearms, is the fact that hey man, at some point, let's talk about what would it mean for you to have a therapist.
Oh.
Right? You know what I mean? I talk therapy to people, right? And some folks are with it, some people are not, and that's okay either way. But I share my own personal journey in that too, right? As someone who works and works with people with trauma, I have a therapist that I talk to, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've been through my own trauma, so why wouldn't I?
Right.
Right. But also, I've said in meetings with someone say, "Hey, look, right now, I don't want to go by myself." Right. So we have that type of relationship. I don't want to go by myself. Would you come with me? I sure will. Yeah, I sure will. But I also tell people I can't be there all the time because this is a part of your journey and it's for you.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So but I think those are to know that where I'm trying to think of the number right now. There are people right now who we have worked with for now. I say right now, who have their own journey with their own therapist. It's a blessing to be able to say that because I know that therapy helps. I know that it works, right?
Yeah.
But also I know that a lot of our men and women and children have a lot of things that are inside of them
Sure.
that they need to be able to get out and they need the space to be able to do that. Right. So that's also, to me, that's another win. Another win is the fact that where we went from, at one point, there was 4 of us, to present day, there's 21 of us.
Wow.
22. Right?
That's
Yeah.
It's a significant team of people.
Yes,
ready to help.
That's a win. Ready to help. Get out there, activated. When we're think about it. We go to the Wisconsin Orchestra. We know that stuff happens, right? And concerts on the square. We know that stuff happens. We got teams of people who are willing to walk. Our team has been asked to also navigate the spaces that were typically, sometimes if there are other challenges, how can we do better?
Yeah.
My team is trained. I'm trained in de-escalation, so verbal de-escalation. I get technical also, but I only train my team in verbal de-escalation because I want them to be able to have the same tools. So when they notify, they see something, they're able to say something in a way that it doesn't feel threatening, right? But also being able to navigate things with you.
You mentioned earlier that one barrier is just the idea that I'm in a situation, I'm in a whatever, I might need some help.
Right.
And either just to admit that to yourself and also seek it and accept it. Looking back to your past, coming out, did you have people like that? Was that a challenge for you to lean on people as you were reentering?
Yes, there was. I mean, I think that it was, and also, so it's 2 ways I want to answer that. Yes, it was, but then also, I think my greater self was also thinking of, I was like, okay, I gotta say something, I gotta do something different, and this is what it has to look like because for me, my sons were my motivator for everything. Yes, being away in prison that hurts, or that has its own challenges or whatever, right? But I think also I knew coming home from prison, I needed to make sure that my son's life was better. If I got back out there doing what I was doing, 9 times out of 10, some point someone's gonna set me up. At some point, or death, right? Who knows what may happen? Someone
Right.
sets me up, well, whatever. Who knows what? I'm not going to act like I got a genie, but I knew, but I knew I needed to do something different. So
Yeah.
I knew I needed to model that, right? My sons were younger, but I needed them to see me go to work every day. I needed them to see that where, even if I was tired, I was still showing up to football games. Even I was still, I was gonna be there at teacher conferences and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So that was important to me,
Yeah.
and I kept going forward.
But did you recognize that you weren't able to do that yourself?
No. I mean, a lot of it when I think it got better. Going back to your question a little bit more, it got better when I was willing to be more open, not only for me, but then also with the people who I'm navigating in life.
Yeah.
That's how it got better. I feel like because everything else in early on, it felt more like, hey, I gotta just do what I gotta do, right? You know what I mean?
Well, that's a big ask of yourself,
Right, yeah.
of an individual person.
Exactly,
To ask
right.
that of yourself, right?
But the shakiness of like, okay, so like many people don't know. So I started my first professional job. I was a job developer, right? You know what I mean? When I look at my first real professional job, well, I guess I worked at Web Crafters too, right? So I was a printer guy, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then eventually, when my suited tie job, I guess is the best way to say
Yeah.
it. Right. You know what I mean? So I was doing job development for another agency, but it was something I knew how to talk to people. I knew how to navigate, knew how to treat people kindly. He didn't ask me about my background. All those things play into, how it gave me some confidence. He didn't ask about my background. I didn't give him information about my background, right? He knew I knew how to do the job. It worked out for him as an agency. And then eventually, I ended up having my own agency, right? And kept going forward, right? But also I think in the transparency, like being able to talk to people like Pastor G I felt was influential of just kind of like being open, right? Because I guess the best way of saying it, I was at the time, well, me and my mom and my little sister. So I'm also trying that bravado. I got to take care of everything myself.
Oh, yeah.
And why would I cry? Why would why would I be open? I don't know if these people are here to love me or hurt me.
Right.
Right. Because the only people I trusted was, I have some family and friends, but mainly I want to make things better. And then, I have my own family and things of that nature. So make all those things good. But the more I feel like, the more I became open with me, and it allowed me to be able to navigate in different spaces differently. So it kind of, all that stuff started coming full circle.
Yeah.
So when I had people who were incarcerated that would still reach out to me. And so it made, and I, just having relationships, made those relationships good. So, and it was like, man, how do you do it? How, like, wait a minute, no, Coop, as everyone calls me Coop. You're like, Coop, like, people, like, you're coming into jail talking to people. Like, how is that? Right? And so, like, man, this is what change looks like. Everyone's change looks different.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
another word for open is vulnerable, which is really hard for men, especially.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Turning the page now. So you got your new digs here. You before we started recording, you started talking a little bit about maybe like your next thing is to like own a building.
Yeah. Definitely.
Aspirations. So what are your aspirations for like the next 10 years to focus on Interruption?
Next 10 years, I focus on Interruption. I think of being able to be a full functional center of healing, a center of being able where we have doctors that come in, therapists and others, being able to do job workshops and really being able to. I got some stuff that I can't really say right now. Well, I'm choosing not to say. I can't give away everything, but
no spoilers here.
Yeah, but also development of housing and being able to be a place, not necessarily. I don't want to use the. I won't put out the words too much. A one shop stop place. Well, however you like to say it, but I think of being able to really rally and have partners that can also help, because just like I think something, well, to me, I felt like you kind of got to it a little bit, but how I got to who I am, and for one, I always say I do through the grace of God, and having a very strong mother that who loves her son, right? And also showed me different things growing up that I didn't always take heed to until later, right? You know what I mean? So, um, but but I think being able to really rally and get others together, to being able to say, all right, this is the challenge. Let's go ahead and let's do this together as one. Right, whatever that may mean, and whatever new challenges in our community and other communities alike. How can we share the gifting of what we have? I think that's a thing that what we have to do. I think naturally, I think sometimes, um, in Madison, the talk has always been, oh, we're working in silos, we're working in silos. I think one of the things about that is, I feel like I've developed the way to be able to say, you know what? One, if there's a silo, I'm gonna bust through it. Because of the simple fact, I'm gonna be as open with you as I want you to be as open with me. Let's put it on the table. If there's, confusion, whatever the case may be, to sit down and talk about it. How do we grow? How do we build? Even if you're doing things differently, it's for me to come and support it, for you to come and support it, for us to be able to support it and say, hey, look, this is what change looks like. This is what not only change looks like, but then also this is what success looks like also. And this is how we can do this together as a community.
Are there other similar violence prevention efforts in other cities, other communities that
Definitely.
that you either learned from, or that maybe that you're now 10 years later teaching them how to do stuff?
Definitely. So early on when we first started, I didn't know about any of the. It's not like the net wasn't there. We're on that. It wasn't the thought, right?
Yeah, you're just like, this is me.
Yeah,
This problem right now. I'm gonna
it's
work
a
on it.
response to what's happening in our community, right? But then also through our, I guess if you want to call it, I guess it is success. I'm doing better at calling it what it is, right?
Yeah.
Our success, we've also, we connect with people in Milwaukee, Forum for Life, Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit. So we're now a part of a network. We have a network of other different agencies that are doing stuff across the nation.
That's
right?
awesome. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what made it also, and everyone does it differently, right? Because Madison is unique.
Yeah, it was
It's
specific
small.
communities have specific
Right,
needs.
yeah.
That-
You know what I mean? And we have a smaller town, but also being able to navigate things the way that we do here, which has been a blessing, right? And building relationships with everyone. This is not, I think the best way of being able to say it, it's not just a you problem or you over there problem, right? You know what I mean? This is a national problem that we're having, is gun violence, right? So what are we going to do? We have to have greater conversations to be able to make greater things happen for all of us, right? And so it may be something that I may say or do here that someone else is learning from. We say one of our other counterparts in Milwaukee, right? Say, oh man, I never thought about doing that over there, or whatever. So, some of our, like even for us as an agency, it was really important to make sure that we have our school programs. We have our LOTS program. It stands for Leaders of Tomorrow. We have our community safety workers. We have our outreach team. We also have our aftercare and recovery team. We have our BOW program. That means Brothers Against Odds program. Right. Also, we're and we go to GRC, Juvenile Justice Detention Center here. Also, we also have relationships with our homeless population. We go to the homeless shelter as well, where we have case managers that go there, right, and navigate space. We just built a relationship, or well, I should say just built. We have a relationship with the jail, so they have a resource center inside of the jail. We go there once a week, right, with other partners that who also go there as well. But we're there. We have the rooms, the size of the room. So we make sure that we have a presence there as well. Again, all of these things that we're doing, I look at it as really being the big C, and really I like to call it. I say community. Sometimes I code switch or whatnot if I'm being transparent. But I say it's being the village, right?
Yeah.
The village. A lot of people feel. I think often at times people feel like, okay, well, I live in a community or a village, and everything has to be seen just this one way. No, it's not meant to be that way.
Yeah.
We're not all of one sound mind. It's impossible. We all have our own ideas and things of that nature. But even in that, but when we learn how to respect each other and have deeper conversations with each other, that's when we're able to do things differently and also together. Because it's, hey, you know what? It's like one of our other partnerships that was right up the street is River Food Pantry. But right, we deliver food to people as well. So it's you know what I mean? So it's but all these things are all connected.
Yeah, for sure.
In the village, you take care of everyone.
Yeah, in many ways.
Yeah,
Right.
in many ways, exactly.
Now you have you're celebrating 10 years with a
Yes.
fundraiser, gala fundraiser coming up. When is that? Tell us the details.
Yep. Our gala fundraiser is August 27th. Oh man, I'm just I'm excited, nervous. yeah, right.
This is your first big
this is
thing,
our
right?
our first big thing like this.
Yeah.
Right? So so it's kind of like, all right, not only am I excited about it, but then also, really being able to talk about what are some of the things that we've done over the years, right? And also highlight our partners as well. Again, we haven't done this by ourselves, right?
Right.
But at the same time, through community and being able to push through, we continue to be able to show up and do the things that need to be done, and we're doing it the right thing for the right reason consistently.
Yeah.
I think you asked me a question a little bit earlier, which you just reminded me somewhat of, is the fact that there's a family or families that we work with in the Harmony neighborhood. We get to go to their community center and things of that nature, and we've been there for the last 3 years. So one of the some of the families there have mentioned, say, one of the things that they love about our organization, that we continue to show up. No matter what. There have been times where there were other additional shootings that have happened. We show up. Not only do we show up, we go and knock on people's doors, go and check on people, see how they're doing, because we know the families that are over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So we built those types of relationships, right? Because again, knucklehead stuff is going to happen. We know that, right? But what can we do, and what have we done to be able to make sure it happens less? That's our, and also being able to help community have different conversation about it as well.
So for the fundraiser, is there a goal?
Yep. Well, the financial, of course, it's always a financial goal to any fundraiser, right?
Yeah, right.
But I think that I feel more confident in being able to, one of our goals is to be able to talk about what we're doing, and also what are some of the things that we plan on doing in the future.
Yeah.
And also in that being able, because there's new positions that we're trying to hire and things of that nature as well. At some point here, I have a part-time therapist I've hired, but then also looking at other avenues of being able to have other therapists on staff, being able to expand the work that we're already doing, our work that we're doing inside of the schools. We're in 3 schools currently. Our plan is to be in, I would like to be in all of the schools, but of course, we want to be able to have the support to be able to do so. Because when we're in the schools, we're also, we have been blessed to be able to, because we're currently in one middle, one high school, and one elementary school. So how we helping people have better language around challenges, right? That may happen, where if there's trauma, from trauma to how we talking to each other as community, to prevent something escalating to a violence, right? And so, but then also, what is the other community service work that what we do out here throughout the community? We have partners like with the Boys and Girls Club. We're partnering with them as well on something currently. We have a program that happens on Mondays and Fridays with the Boys and Girls Club throughout the summer. Of course, we want to be able to expand those types of things at some point, right? So it's all of these different things. Everything is about expansion. How can we expand not only our programming, but also how can we bring new skills to the table that we can also make sure that we're putting those skills out to work in our community.
Yeah.
So that's our goal.
August 27th, where is it?
It is at the Atwood Music Hall, right here in Madison.
And how much are tickets?
Tickets are between $100, and of course we have sponsorship opportunities, and so forth.
And in addition to coming to the gala and sponsoring it, getting tickets, how can people support your work?
Definitely donations, volunteers, allowing us to come in, do presentations. Would love to, so there are other ways of being able to contract with us as well. Excuse me. I've been blessed with an opportunity to come into an agency to be able to talk about verbal de-escalation as well. Agencies, they have challenges too, right? Right? And being able to do that. So we contract that work out as well. I have a team that will actually come if you want to come to your group home, centers, things of that nature. So a lot of different ways of being able to connect with us.
All right. Well, Anthony Cooper, best of luck on the fundraiser. Congratulations on 10 years.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're back, and we're going to head right into our question. So the question is, you wake up and gravity is 20% weaker today. What's the first dumb thing you do?
Weigh myself and enjoy the number.
That's real. Rob was ready for that answer too. Have you imagined this before? If only gravity was 20% weaker. This is sort of,
I suddenly lost 30 pounds.
What about for others?
I feel like the obvious answer, I would go on a trampoline.
Yeah.
And just try and do a backflip. I guess that would make it dumb. No skill there.
No skill. No, I've never done it before, but that's when I would try it. That's what it feels like. That's what I would do too. I would try to do something that I've never done. We have the set of stairs. I would try to jump them. Like I used to when I was a kid. I would try to jump all those stairs. See if I could land without breaking something.
I feel like my first thought was I'd go to the gym and try and lift weights.
Oh, that's
I would just look really cool
and tough. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd feel really good about myself.
Yeah.
I mean, for me at least, I think the obvious answer that nobody's saying, and I think I'm completely lying about because I know it's dumb and I wouldn't do it and I'm scared of heights, but go cliff jumping. I feel like would be pretty awesome. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it even if gravity was up to 50%. However,
You'd be tempted at least.
I think this is the answer. I'm just if anybody's listening, somebody will say it. I was thinking about it.
Maybe you could just throw stuff off the side.
Oh, there you go.
That's a good watch. Yeah. Watch them.
But it's the first dumb thing, so that
they can both be dumb. Yeah.
I would try to go back to sleep, but in a weird, different, less gravity position that will probably hurt my neck.
I feel like everything that we're suggesting is going to hurt your neck at some point.
Somebody's neck is going to get hurt.
Yeah, and everything too.
Yeah, the other thing I would do is fake a moon landing.
And so you can become a conspiracy.
You can really convincingly do the moon, the jumping walk.
What's your one-liner when you land?
Yeah.
This is wrong.
There's so much less gravity.
Yeah.
Cheese.
Oh, geez, is what we'd say. Yeah.
Oh, jeepers. Okay.
Mhm.
Steph.
I already said it. I would jump
Jump the stairs. Okay.
Because I've already done, like, I thought about this too. And so it's like, I've already done, like, jump out of an airplane and all those other things that, like, you could do that would make me interesting. So I was like, well, what's just a random thing I would do that morning when I wake up? And I would just jump a
Jump down the
set of stairs and not break my ankle.
Mm-hmm.
Like a long, what? Omar's giving
Jump out of an airplane?
Yeah, so I've already done that.
Insane person.
I was certified too. I jumped that much so I could not have to go tandem.
That's cool.
I dated somebody who owned a business, and so that's how I jumped so much. So understand, like, I didn't pay because it's expensive to do that a lot, and that's the only reason why I was saying somebody at the time who owned a business and was doing, gave me the ability to do that.
I don't think I'm allowed to
Why?
go skydiving.
Why can't you go skydiving? I don't know what that means. I don't know. You're voguing?
They
Because
figured
you
it
can't
out.
vote.
I have a tough time getting onto airplanes without being randomly selected. And I just don't
To be
think
fair,
I'm allowed to jump out of planes now.
I randomly get selected, and they go through my luggage all the time. And I was like, what? But never Robs, who, quite frankly, domestically, is more likely to do harm than I am.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to go through my stuff?
Yeah.
Yes, every time.
Every day.
I know.
My dad took up skydiving after he survived cancer. That was his
thing.
Yep. He did it twice.
And he was,
Because the first time he was so excited he wasn't scared. Then the second time he was terrified and broke a rib.
That's right. He broke a rib.
And then never did it again.
Yeah. Your dad breaks lots of bones, though, to be fair.
Yes, he does. All right. That is all for the podcast today. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week.
Yes.
.365 Amplified is produced and edited by me, Rob Chappell, and is a production of 365 Media Foundation, a nonprofit, local, independent media organization in Madison, Wisconsin. Wherever you're listening to this right now, hit the subscribe or follow button to get new episodes every Friday. And between episodes, get your latest news at madison365.org and follow us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Threads. Wherever you get your news, we'll be there.